All right, let's talk about the world of fine art, but not just as something beautiful to hang on your wall. Today, we're diving into how some of the most iconic prints and photographs can actually be really powerful financial assets. We're going to find out how you can unlock some serious capital from them without ever having to sell. So, how does that work?
Okay, so first things first, we need to kind of reframe how we're even looking at art. For the right kind of pieces, a collection isn't just decoration. It's basically a vault of locked-up capital. And believe it or not, there's a key to open it.
I mean, it's a wild idea, right? The thought that a Warhol or a Banksy print could do more than just, tie the room together. That it could actually give you immediate cash, solve a short-term cash flow problem, just like a cash machine.
And here's the actual tool that makes it all possible: the fine art collateral loan. It's a really specialized kind of loan where lenders, think luxury pawnbrokers, will give you cash and use your blue-chip artwork as security. The crucial part here is you get to keep ownership of your art while tapping into its value.
But of course, they're not going to do this for just any piece of art. Lenders have a really specific checklist, a kind of playbook they follow to figure out if an artwork is actually a safe bet. So, what exactly makes a piece of art bankable?
Well, it really just boils down to these four things. The artist needs global fame, there has to be a clear and public auction history, the market has to have strong liquidity, and a whole lot of people need to want to buy it. Think of this as our blueprint for the rest of this explainer. Now let's see how it works with some of the biggest names out there.
And honestly, where else would we start but with pop art? These are the artists who took everyday stuff and turned it into high art. And in the process, they created some of the most rock-solid financial markets you can find.
You've got to start with Andy Warhol. He is the undisputed king of pop art, and his work is pretty much the perfect case study for this whole idea. The guy made screen prints of soup cans, celebrities, you name it, and he ended up creating this incredibly deep and reliable market.
Now, what's so fascinating about this is just the sheer range of the market. You've got signed prints that are somewhat accessible, but then you get to his most famous images, and they're pulling in over £500,000. And then entire portfolios are selling for millions. It's that variety that creates so much stability.
And this quote just nails it. This is exactly why he's a lender's dream. I mean, look at that language. It's a perfect match for our four pillars. There's no guesswork. The data on what a Warhol will sell for is public, it's clear, and it's incredibly reliable.
Okay, next up is another pop art giant, Roy Lichtenstein. He's the one famous for using those Ben-Day dots from comic strips to make these huge, incredible works of art. And get this, his prints make up nearly 90% of all his work ever sold at auction. That creates a massive pool of data.
And just take a look at the absolute peak of his market, almost £5 million for one single print. This is not just a poster, folks. This is a heavyweight financial asset, and it just goes to show you the incredible value locked up inside these pieces.
But this whole market isn't just about American pop art. Let's head across the pond to the UK, where contemporary British artists have built markets for their prints that are just as powerful and just as bankable.
And who else would we start with but the anonymous street artist Banksy? It is absolutely fascinating how an artist who got his start stenciling on public walls now has one of the most powerful and active secondary markets for his screen prints.
And this data from just this year, 2024, shows you just how strong that market is. I mean, even an unsigned print of his most famous image, Girl with Balloon, regularly sells for up to £80,000. A signed one? That can easily triple the price. We're talking serious value here.
And there it is again. It hits all our key points. Everybody knows who Banksy is. That's global recognition. And the demand is so high that the prints have amazing liquidity, which just means you can sell them really fast. All of that makes them excellent security for a loan. All right, now for someone a bit more traditional. David Hockney. He's one of Britain's most beloved living artists. His iconic prints of those sun-drenched California swimming pools or those beautiful English landscapes, they are absolute titans of the UK auction market.
And yeah, while a lot of his prints are more accessible, the very top of his market is incredibly strong. The fact that his prints can hit the seven-figure mark at auction, that keeps all the values transparent and makes lending against them a pretty straightforward decision.
And finally, let's talk photography. For a long time, it was kind of seen as secondary to painting. But today, the market for blue-chip fine art photography is every bit as robust and every bit as bankable. And the photography market is just so diverse. On one hand, you have masters of classic landscape like Ansel Adams, and on the other, you have conceptual artists like Cindy Sherman, whose self-portraits are just cornerstones of postmodern art. They both have strong markets, but Sherman's provides a really stunning example of value.
And if you want to see just how valuable this kind of work can be, get this. Almost $7 million for a single portfolio of her photographs. That sale basically cemented photography's place as a major asset class, right on par with anything else.
And you guessed it, it all comes back to our playbook. Why is Sherman's work so bankable? It's got museum-level prestige, a long and proven auction history, and a global collector base. It literally ticks every single box.
So, you see, whether we're talking about a pop art screen print, a stenciled image on paper, or a conceptual photograph, the exact same rules apply. There is a very clear blueprint that separates a piece of art from a truly bankable asset.
So let's just run through that blueprint one last time. You need global recognition. The artist has to be a household name. You need a strong and transparent auction history. You need high liquidity, the ability to sell it fast. And you need a broad collector base. Those 4 pillars, they're the foundation for this entire art lending market.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought. All of these works are, without a doubt, culturally significant, beautiful pieces of art. But they're also highly sophisticated financial instruments. So the next time you find yourself looking at a famous print, maybe you'll ask yourself, am I just seeing a picture, or am I looking at a beautifully designed ATM?